Hey everyone, welcome back to BlenderDiplom.com. I'm Gottfried Hofmann, and this time I want to show you how to recreate the Sin City look, or how to apply the Sin City look to any of your footage. We can see an example of the look right here. I've taken footage from Tears of Steel, the Blender Foundation open movie, as an example, but you will be able to apply it to any footage that you shoot. And the Sin City look constitutes of footage that's seemingly black and white. Most parts of it are black and white, but there are very few parts that are actually have color. And this is a very good way to direct the attention of the viewer to those parts that have the color, and it also just looks cool. This kind of look is called the Sin City look because it was made popular by the film Sin City. But it was first used in the very early days of cinema. It's actually a very old technique. One early example is the Thomas Edison film The Great Train Robbery from 1903. So yes, this look is more than 100 years old. And in the early days of black and white cinema, they painted over the celluloid strips, each one after each other. So it was very cumbersome. Today, it's very easy because you can shoot in color and just selectively desaturates part of your image. And that's what we're gonna do. Here's an example of the final node setup in the compositor. It's actually pretty simple. You're gonna use the hue correct node for this look. This one is for the poison, and you're gonna simply have a few masks. Those we can see down here. Here is the mask for the poison, and we got I did a bit of tracking, so the mask is actually following our syringe. So actually that's all about it. One last thing, when you're using mix node, use color for the overlay, and don't forget to use your masks inside for both the hue correct and for the mixing. And at the end we'll be applying a slight bit of contrast to everything, so it's looking more like black and white. So that was the short form. Now let's recreate this in detail. Here I am in Blender, and let me right now switch over to the movie clip editor, where I'm gonna load some sample footage from Tears of Steel. You can download those, and I'll be adding download links for all the PNG files from Tears of Steel from Blender Diplom. So yeah, check out the site if you're watching this from YouTube. I'll also be adding some demo example blend files there. So here I am now, right in the movie clip editor, and all I want to do right now is scrub through the timeline and see where it ends. So it ends at frame 44. I'm going down here into the timeline and hit E for end. And the another thing I want to do, I want to load the entire clip into the RAM so we can work this really fast. And we see here now down here that everything here is become opaque, that the entire clip is inside the RAM, so we can scrub through it very fast. If you don't have, if this doesn't work for you, you should check out maybe in the user preferences under system. Down here you can set the memory cache limit for the sequencer and for the movie clip editor. I've set it to 8 GB. You should do something. You should use something similar, but not more than your RAM allows, because otherwise Blender might crash. Another thing I want to do, I want to set the resolution just as the Tears of Steel PNG files. It's 920 by 800, and I'm going full. And now I'll switch over to compositing. And here, let me use nodes and backdrop. We won't need the render layer, so let me delete it and use as input the movie clip we've just loaded up. So right here, and with Control Shift and left click, I'm gonna attach a viewer, and the Let me hit N so we got a little more space here. And I see that there's still not enough space because it's too big. So let me hit V to make this here a little smaller. Or Alt V to make it bigger again. And with Alt and middle mouse, I can scrub around. And let me start with this pink part here, because that will be the easiest one. What you need to do is simply search for input, color, hue, correct. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. So, and what you do now is simply turn down all the colors, and this way you're gonna desaturate your footage selectively. And yeah, this is already pretty good. Yeah, seems like I've desaturated nearly everything. But let me see whether, yeah, let me just put it in a way that hopefully there are no parts that are wrongly that are not desaturated, except for this little bit of this pink text here. And there you already see one problem when you're shooting. You should actually have nothing out of focus, which you want to stay there colorized, because let me zoom in a little bit. The gray parts outside, they will fade to gray. And in the original one, let's mute this. You'll see that it actually fades towards a mixture of the color you have here and the background. And this is of course always different for each part here, so it's difficult to recreate this when you're doing the desaturation. So it will just desaturate to, yeah, to some grayish around here, and that might not always look good. So if you're doing this effect, try to avoid stuff that is out of focus. So now for the next part I want to tackle, and that is this little dot here. And for this one I will need a second uCorrect node, but I will use the original movie clip for this and not the other one. And now let's see whether I can get the color right. And hopefully I haven't desaturated anything by mistake. Okay, that one was definitely a mistake, but let's take a look at it. And we see that, yeah, we have parts here that if we desaturate those parts, then we'll also desaturate this dot. So what we need to do is we need to use define some space around this here, and to tell the effect to only work around this area, so we can get the desaturation effect. And for that, I'm gonna switch to the movie clip editor once again. So open movie clip editor and open the movie part once again. And what I'm gonna create here is a simple mask. I'm not gonna track anything yet, just a mask. So let me select mask, hit Control and left click, and let's create a simple mask around this. And now I can close it with Alt C to make it cyclic. Yeah, and here we got a mask. Let's call it dot. So what's this here gonna do? Well, we can use it to define a region for our part here. So let me open up this in the compositor so we can have a look at it, how it's looking. Input, mask, and here it is, dot. And now let's look at it. You see, this is just the white area here, and we can use this for our uCorrect as an input. And if we do so, only the part in the effect will only take place at the part that is white. So if you use this as a vector input and take a look now, you'll see that the mask, the effect is now only working here. So here we got the nice Sin City look, and everything else still has color. So how can we get this to that everything else is also desaturated? Well, we got already a part where we have desaturated everything else except that. So there must be a cool way to mix those. And yes there is. Let me select color and mix. And now if we mix this together, but still once again let's choose to use the factor to tell him where he should mix. We can tell him that he should mix this part here, and around it use this part, and then we by combining those two we will have a movie with this part here in color and up there also. So let's do it. Let's connect this one here and this one here, and now let's switch the mask here and let's switch those. Or one moment, I forgot to set it to color. Yeah, setting it to color is the right one. Don't use mix, use color, because when you use color when you mix a black and white image with one that has a little bit of color, you can select color, and this way it will also only add the color to the black and white version. So that's the right thing to do, to use when you're using this effect. So now we have a small problem here still, and that is if we move our timeline, we'll see up there in the compositing that the dot is desaturated again, and you can see the problem around here, down here where the mask, it has moved, the area has moved, and the dot has moved out of the mask area. So what we need to do is the following. We need to tell the mask that it should move with the dot. And we can do this really easily by simply tracking the dot, and then we can tell the mask that the dot that it should follow the dot. So let's get to tracking, and I'm doing Control left click. This way I have placed a marker, and now if I hit Alt and left arrow, I can see that the marker is nicely following this dot. And I'll also do this to the right. Alt and right arrow, and what I'm doing is so-called supervised tracking, because you see sometimes you're getting some kind of error, and then you have to change the things once again, but we can simply hit G and move this. And maybe I should have used the part at the bottom as a point for our marker. Yeah, I guess I'll do so. So it's I'm just retracking with the point at the bottom here, because obviously that's followed a lot better than the than when we had it in the middle. Yeah, that's pretty simple tracking. And I have now here my marker. It has been tracked. So let's go to mask. And now we should tell the mask that it should follow the marker. How can we do this? Well, what I'm hitting is A to deselect everything. Now I'm hitting A again to select everything in the mask. Then I'm right clicking this little fella, and of course it already selected. And now on the left, parenting, make parent, or Control P. So let me hit Control P. And now if I move the timer through the timeline, scrub through the timeline, you see that the mask is following the tracker and everything is working out fine. And you can see up there when we're doing compositing, that things are still working fine. So for the next one, the last one I want to show you, that is the syringe here with the green poison. For that one, we will unfortunately need 4 points. That's because you see that the syringe is rotating, and that simply won't work with our with just 1 marker. So we'll need 4, and I'm gonna track those and then see you later. Here I am back, and I've tracked the syringe a little bit, and you see the track doesn't need to be perfect because we are just using this simple mask. And what we're actually doing is some very basic rotoscoping. So let me simply create a mask, and once again let me not forget to move counterclockwise. Let's go switch back to mask, create a new one. Let's call this green stuff. And now left click and hold down Control and go clockwise. So all those pointers are pointing outwards. And now Alt-C to close this thing. And now let me select this one, then make parent, and then this one and this one, this one and this marker, make parent, and this one and this marker. Oh, that one, that's a tough one. This one and this marker, make parent. And now the mask should nicely follow suit. So, yeah, pretty good. And I've already prepared a little bit, so you're not getting bored by those parts. Let me just duplicate this color overlay here and connect those two. Once again, using the mask as vector input. And yeah, I need to switch them. And now here we are nearly done. This is the Sin City look for Tears of Steel. Let me just add one last thing, color, RGB curves, so I can add a little more contrast to all of this. So it's looking more like a black and white movie shot on black and white film, because that usually has a lot of contrasts. So very last thing to do, let me connect the last node with the composite node. So if I hit render, this will actually gonna be saved. And yeah, this concludes it nearly. One last thing I want to tell you about this look is that you should not overuse it and use it with caution, because if you got everything desaturated except for a few parts in your scene, then these will be the parts where your viewer will be looking at. This is how you draw your attention on. And if you draw the attention to unimportant parts, your shot won't work anymore. And that's actually the case with this one here. All the action is happening here with the robot arm and his face. And here the syringe is also looking very dangerous. So this part here is actually really good. But that one, no. That will totally distract your viewer. So this is a very bad example, and I've just chosen that one because it looks cool. But yeah, on the other hand, if you are doing shots, don't use this as an example, but think a little bit about how you're gonna use the color so the look gets its great effect. And if I find the right spot, I might also be able to show you why mix is not gonna work here. So here we got the green syringe over that part, and if we choose mix here, instead of color, let's see what is gonna happen. Yeah, now you see that you can see clearly see the mask, and by using color, some magic is happening and everything is looking fine. So for this kind of stuff, always choose color in your mix notes. And yeah, now the tutorial is finally concluded. I hope you learned something. Have fun when experimenting on your own with this effect, and if you got any questions or comments for this tutorial, just head over to Blender Diplom and leave them there. I'm happy for every comment and every criticism I receive. So, happy blending!